Hi, I'm Natalie and I'm from the West Regional Library. Welcome to our Week 4 program to go, the Mixed Media Place Setting. In your bag, you have materials for 2 crafts. We're going to start with the animal print coasters. In your bag, you're going to have 2 ceramic tiles, 2 cork squares, and 2 animal print paper squares. You're going to have 1 sponge brush and a little container of Mod Podge. We're going to start using the Mod Podge to glue down the paper squares to the tiles. So you're going to apply a thin layer to the paper, making sure it's spread all the way out to the edges and the corners, because you want it to make a nice seal so that it doesn't lift up. And you're going to do this to both of your papers, and then we're going to place them on the tiles and press down to smooth out all the edges and corners and any bubbles that might pop up. It's very important to get it as flat as possible. Then you're going to do the same thing over here. Remembering to get all the way to the corners and edges. After completing your second tile, we're going to go ahead and place those over to the side, and they're going to need to dry for about 2 hours. This is going to ensure that it's completely dry before we continue. If you do it too soon, it does tend to make the paper crinkle and fade, and it doesn't come out its best. So I'm going to put these off to the side to dry. And continue on with my 2 tiles that have already dried for 2 hours. You're going to use the same technique to apply the Mod Podge to the top, and now it's going to be like a sealer. Go all the way to the edge of the tile. So you're going to get a little bit on the tile, and that's okay. And go this way, and then turn it a little bit and go that way, and then turn it a little bit, and continue doing this until it's all super smooth. It's gonna dry to almost like a glass finish, so you want a very smooth application of this. It's okay if it's still a little cloudy, because it's going to dry really clear. I'm going to move on to the second tile and do the same thing. Going different directions with it to get it nice and smooth. Go out to the white edges to make sure the paper stays down nice and flat. Now, in your real world time, you may want to give this maybe 5 or 10 minutes in between, maybe a little less. And my advice would be to go ahead and just keep coating these until you've used all the Mod Podge that we've included for you. And this will give you a nice glassy finish to your animal print coasters. And that's all it takes. So we'll be right back with the second part of this craft. So we're back with the finishing touches of our first craft. These have been drying for about 2 hours and are nice and dry. So now I'm going to add the cork backing to the tiles. Peel off the white paper, attach it and press firmly. Make sure it's pushed down on all the edges and corners. Add one to the other one. And you're all done. So we'll be right back with our next craft. We're going to continue on with our printed placemat craft. In your bag, you're going to have 2 burlap placemats, 1 piece of cardstock, a stencil and a letter A, 1 black marker, and here we go. In order to do this stencil, you're going to want to take this sheet of cardstock and slide it under the area of your placemat where you're going to draw your letters. So I'm going to line mine up along this right side to look similar to this one. You can go on the left if you like, or any other place. So making sure my cardstock is under because I don't want the marker to bleed through. I'm going to trace the outside of the letters without filling them in just yet. That's going to happen a little later. After I have traced the outsides of the letters, I'm going to take my letter A and place it inside of the stencil of the letter A. This is going to help me to make that triangle on the inside. So after it's placed inside, all I'm doing is tracing the outer sides of the triangle. And when you take the stencil off, you're going to have something that looks like this. Now, making sure that cardstock is still underneath, you're going to color in the letters and get it nice and dark and bright, and you can even out where maybe the stencil didn't make it perfectly even on the lines. And keep in mind that if you like, you can trim this burlap down to a smaller size. You can trim the edges if you want to make it a little more frayed looking or a little straighter looking. Whatever looks right to you. Make sure you color in, keeping that triangle inside of the A open so the A looks just right. So I'm going to finish up my last letter. And we're going to be just about done. So now you can add your coaster. You'll have one coaster to go on each plate, to go next to your plate. And that finishes up our craft for this week. Thanks for joining me.